Prince Harry has lost his bid for a second legal challenge against the government's refusal to let him pay for police protection while in the UK. The Duke of Sussex was demanding a review of the Home Office's decision back in 2020 that he was not entitled to personal police security in Britain, even if he covered the cost himself. But the Met successfully argued in court that its officers were not guns for hire. Harry and Meghan were stripped of their dedicated police protection when they stepped down as senior working royals and moved to the US 3 years ago. The ruling comes just days after the pair claimed they'd experienced a near catastrophic car chase involving paparazzi while leaving an awards show in New York. I do actually have, curiously, a little bit of sympathy for Harry on this one. There's a point that if you are seen as any kind of risk, terrorist risk, Salman Rushdie, obvious example, the man who had protection for a couple of decades with a fatwa on his head. Not quite that with Harry, but I think you could reasonably argue that in certain situations, turning up at the airport, is he really expected to get in an Uber? Are there not any security implications with a man this famous turning up at the airport? I appreciate that you don't necessarily do it via hiring the Met, but is there no other mechanism that you can do?
Yeah, it's called private security.
To get protection?
Yeah, but it's called private security.
It's not going to be armed, though, is it?
This is what all famous people have to do.
He's got the taser guys in the States.
He doesn't have the entitlement to have people wandering around Britain with armed.
Yeah, but is he a legitimate or a potential
not.
terrorist target? If he's not, then fine. But I wonder whether that
he
question
definitely has had, bona fide death threats, which the police have taken very seriously. What's his name, Bonsu from the Metropolitan Police said that they had had credible threats against Harry and Meghan, which the Met took very seriously. So he definitely has.
Well, that surprises me as to why
threats.
then they would not say, do you know what? It's not. You're not going to get the prime ministerial detail, but you will get something.
Because they can't set the precedent whereby anybody who could come in from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to say, look, we need police protection, we're going to pay for it, so effectively we're going to buy the Metropolitan Police every time we come to London.
But the only thing about that does happen. So if there is like a state visit for a dignitary coming from another country, they will get the Metropolitan and the Diplomatic Special Police.
Because if they're state visit, but not if they're just some random prince coming over. But it wouldn't just be sort of, if they're coming, they tend to be coming over on a state visit. And I think, again, this is one of these issues which is so polarised because people either kind of hate Harry or they don't. No, I disagree.
But I do think what's interesting about this is he's not just an average famous person. He is the son of the king. That does make him a legitimate target. And remember, we pay for very high levels of protection for former politicians, not even like just prime ministers, former home secretaries, former foreign secretaries,
former Northern Ireland secretaries,
former chancellors.
Yeah.
They all still get paid full-on police support for quite some time. So I just think there is a legitimate argument here. I mean, I think it would be right for him to make a bit of a contribution, to help. But I think the principle is actually worth debating.
But don't you think he has chosen not to be a working royal, so therefore I think it's really difficult to justify having the Met looking after him.
But he is offering to pay.
Yeah, but the Met's not for hire.
No, I get that.
The Met's not for hire, but also you're putting...
It's a bit like that paparazzi outfit in New York saying, you want to act like a king, that's fine, but you can't just go around demanding that you have access to stuff.
But you're also then, he's then putting the lives of the Met in danger if he comes here, and therefore you can't just pay it, and then the precedent is set, and then what? They're for hire by anyone.
But how many other kings' children are there that are asking this question?
How many other kids? And if let's say he was shot here, it would be absolutely catastrophic in terms of how this was handled. It would be a stain on the king.
But should we pay for it then?
Well, he is offering to sort of pay for something. But I would say, actually, we should pay for it. I would say he doesn't come here that often. If he does,
he comes here all the time.
He doesn't come here all the time.
He's been here about 80 times this year already. He's got about 6 actions going on on the High Court, going on right now.
But I
think there is a...
He's never away from the place.
You have to take your judgment about your hatred. This is a...
No, I don't hate it.
This is a judgment call for security. If he was to be shot or slain on British territory when there is a police, it would look Absolutely
I do think
awful.
after that ridiculous, escapade last week, he needs to get his money back from his own security people. He said in Spare that he's paying $6 million a year for that security. They're rubbish.
He's gone to live in one of the most dangerous places in the world, where handgun deaths are the maximum that you can get in any country. And yet he wants protection while he's here. What does he get when he's there?
Well, exactly right.
Does he get anything from the US government? Has he asked them for it? No, because this is all about him being petulant, being a little boy lost, being a little spoiled
He's the son
brat.
of the king.
He's a little spoiled brat. Why is he not asking for coverage? All right, hang on. Why is he not asking for the same coverage from security in the United States?
Because his father was the head of state of the United States.
Because they don't have a king in America, and he's not the son of the king. She's not a member of the royal family in America.
He's not a member of the royal family.
She might think she is, but she's not.
Just a very brief PS point here. The head of a leading Washington think tank says Americans want Harry to go back home to Britain. Kevin Roberts, who heads up the Heritage Foundation, I'd love to be at one of their shindigs, says Americans see Harry as the British see President Biden, adding, you can have him back.
I'm sure there's no political bias in that think tank whatsoever.
The answer is...